Well, I was sitting around on a Sunday afternoon, and I got a text that there's a car show going on up at the Monroe Diner, so I hopped in my truck, and I started heading that way. And I just glanced down at my amp gauge, and it was at 0. It usually is at 50, or heading in that direction. So I turned around, I came back here, I'm going to put this amp gauge on and see if it's really the amp gauge went bad, or if I got a bad generator or something else is going on here. So this is how I'm going to spend my day, for the rest of my day. So what I've done is taken the main wire off the ignition key switch, which runs up to the amp meter, I believe, and I jumped it, or spliced in basically this amp meter, and what I'll do is I'll start the engine and see if it's charging on this. And that'll disprove if it's the gauge or not. I suspect it's not the gauge, and it's probably the generator, the voltage regulator. But you got to test everything. So let's start this. So I just reconnected the battery, turned the ignition on. So what I suspect would have happened if it's the generator is I would have got to my destination, but I would have drained my battery because the ignition would have ran off the battery. So now the ignition's on. I'm in neutral. And I'm seeing nothing there. What I'll do is I'll turn on the lights. I'm going to put the camera down for a second. I must have this hooked up incorrectly because nothing's right. But the engine did start, so that's something. So let me reconnect this ignition switch, and what I'll have to do is, I have to get behind this gauge here and take the 2 wires off of that. That is really tough because you got to lay on your back with the clutch pedal hitting you in the head and try to get that disconnected. This is not fun. So I reconnected everything, and let me just show you what's going on with the gauge. It's at 0. You see it moves when I turn the lights on. There's the park lights, there's the headlights. So I think that gauge is working. Now it's working in the wrong direction. That's because the wires are probably hooked up wrong. The gauge goes either way. So if I had to name anything, I'd suspect the generator or the voltage regulator. Let me shut this off. So normally when it's running, it goes, to that first dot there in the left direction, which I know is backwards, but at least I know it's charging. So when I was driving, I saw that it was still at 0 or just below 0 and wasn't moving. And when I put the lights on, when I was driving, I saw the needle moved. So I suspect the gauge is working, and it must be the generator or the voltage regulator. Before anyone asked, the first thing I did is I popped the hood when I got back. I checked to make sure the belt was tight, which it is. Maybe it could be tighter, but I don't hear it slipping or anything, and the generator is definitely spinning, so I don't think it's the belt. But that's a new voltage regulator. And the generator was tested, 6 months, 9 months ago. So maybe I'll just pull it out, bring it back to the same shop with the regulator. Why not? Have them test them both on the bench. Costs about $25, $30 to have them check it. And then we'll see what the problem is. Why risk driving somewhere and getting stuck and having to drive home or getting towed home? So sadly, that's my adventure for the day. What I might do is just jump in my regular driver and head up to the car show and just look at cars and take videos. Embarrassing as that is, not to have a vehicle there, at least I'm there. So what I'm doing now is I've pushed the truck back into its storage spot, and I'm just hooking up the trickle charger just to maintain that battery, which is already reading low, probably because, I'm running the engine off the battery. So that kind of proves my theory too, that it's not charging, and it's probably very smart to turn around and come home. 60%. I think what I'll do is, as long as I got time, I'll pull the generator out now. So then Monday morning, I can run it up to places about 45 minutes, almost an hour away. No, not an hour. 45 minutes, tops. I'll bring it up there first thing in the morning and let them test it. So let me get that out. I think it's only a few 9/16 bolts to get it out. So the first thing I want to do is disconnect these wires. It's like a 7/16 wrench. Just pop those off. Get them out of the way. Oh, my shoulder's in the way. Oh, that's one of those. Pop that off. Put the lock washer back on, the nut on. Don't lose them. Spin them down. Yeah, so this is the kind where the nut's got to come all the way off. Just kind of annoying, but alright, no problem. Take the nut off. Got the washer. Pull the wire. Washer back on. Put that back on. You know, it would really suck if the generator is bad or it can't be rebuilt reasonably priced, because I don't really want to sink a lot of money back into this. So maybe I should hope that it is the voltage regulator that went bad and not the generator. I actually think I have a spare one of these things. And what just dropped on the ground? I don't know what that was. Alright, so the wires are clear. That's cool. 9/16 wrench. And of course it's a 1/2 inch. So, got a 1/2 inch wrench. That'll loosen the belt. And then that's still hot, so be careful. I believe if I take this all the way off and hook the belt, it flops down where I can expose the two mounting bolts, or at least the mounting bolts for the bracket. And I take the whole thing off with the bracket. Going back on, it might not be as easy. So I've never taken this off or out since the clip's been back on. And I did it. The fenders were off. The inner fenders were off, so I could just walk right up to it, get at it pretty easily. That's that. Lift that up, unhook the belt. Ah, there you go. So I guess the question is, do you take the bracket off, or do you take the bolts off that mount it? 6 of one, 1/2 dozen of the other, I guess. Let me see. That would be that one there. So that's a 1/2 inch. Right there, 1/2 inch. Actually, it's only hand tight. That's funny. And those are like, what, 9/16 down there, or 5/8? Those are two 9/16 brackets. Huh? They're holding it on. What if I just take the whole bracket off? Might be easier. And when those come off, the whole thing's going to fall down onto the brake line. Be the only thing supporting it. I wonder what I should do here. Let's put a 9/16 socket on. Maybe that'll be the way to go. Because maybe as I get to the last bolt out, let's see, can I get down there? This extension without burning my hand? Wow, that one's tight. That one's tight too. I guess that answers that question. Went and got my step stool, so now I can lean over farther and reach down easier and get at that. So let me get this off first. I hear the dog barking. She wants to come out. Hang on. Oh, that's threaded in. Interesting. So this is what slows me down. Where are you going? Get back in here. Come on. Okay, I just had to let the dog out to pee. We'll see if I can get that bolt out. Looks like it's threaded into one or the other of the pieces, and then the nut is just kind of there to lock it in. So that's not 9/16. Which I should have remembered from 5 minutes ago. And you can see it's just coming out. There's a washer and a lock washer, which I want to grab. The first thing I'm going to do is check this out. Got all my tools on the and nuts and bolts here. I'm going to move them all out of the way. So I don't lose anything. Or don't bump into anything as I'm moving things around. Now if I could reach in and grab that generator and those two, I don't know if you can even see it. Those two bolts are holding it in. One here, which feels like it'll come out if I take the weight of the generator off of those bolts. Yeah. This is like a three-hand job. There's one. Here comes the other. That thing weighs a ton. It's out. Generator's out. And where's it going? I guess it's... Oh man, I scratched my inner fender wells. That sucks. I guess we're going down with it instead of up. I don't want to drop it too far, I guess. It dropped about 8 inches. Hopefully that didn't ruin it. Remember I said hopefully it doesn't ruin it? Look what it did. Bent the pulley. Well, hopefully I can bend that back. If not, I think I got a spare in my tent somewhere, which I could use, but still, the fact that I did that's pretty dopey. And, you know, I feel like an idiot for doing it, but things happen. It was pretty heavy and I couldn't hold on any longer. So I set this up in the vise, got some cardboard to protect it, and you can see there's a spot right there where it impacted. And you just measure off of here, it's at like 7/16 of an inch. And here on the other side, it's a 1 inch. So I gotta, you know, basically bend it back a little bit at a time until it's... So I dropped the generator off here at Clark's Son, and they're gonna bench test it. And later on that afternoon, I got a call back and said that the generator is throwing solder and it needs to be repaired. So they asked me then the year, make, and model of the vehicle, which I gave them. They said they had to do some research, and they'd call me back with an estimate on how much it would cost to repair the generator. So now I'm waiting to hear from them. So I guess I'm not going to go to the Tuesday night car show tomorrow, and
who knows how much this is going to cost me. But then it makes me start thinking, maybe it's time to do the 12 volt conversion and just get a 12 volt alternator and convert this truck to 12 volt. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.